Hello, everyone. Today, I had the pleasure of talking with Clay Dempsey, who is the Director for Arts and Entertainment for the City of Dothan, Alabama. Now, we had a great conversation talking about the venues that he's in charge of, the acts that he needs to attract and manage while they come to the Dothan Opera House and to our Civic Center. What are the logistics and personnel that he needs to surround himself with? But we really started having a good time. We talked about the different type of acts that we both enjoy, that we enjoy ourselves, that we want to attract to, he'd like to attract to the local area. And it had a shared love of different types of venues, be it the rodeo, or whether music venues, comedy, or even especially movies. And we want to attract like a film festival in this area too. Anyway, I'm fascinated by his job and what he has to attract good attractions and entertainment to the local area. But I suspect we'll be able to talk even more in the future over our shared love for different media. Anyway, we had a great time relating over this. I hope you'll join us for this journey. So, hey, thank you for coming to talk to me. I'll start here, but just before you just jump in, we've got a chance to interact a little bit, but we're starting to have people that actually listen to this and are curious as to what in the world is a priest talking to and who are they talking to? And it's so funny because I'm finding really wonderful people around Dothan who are willing to talk to me about non-churchy topics. That's been my goal. You know, because people talk inside baseball. There's plenty of other podcasters dealing with theology, church history. There's our own diocese has some podcast guys. They like to talk theology, church history, and things like this. I'm like, great, that's awesome. For me, I'm about the outsider conversations, the ones where people of faith ought to be engaging with the rest of the world, but oftentimes they're retreating into. You ever see the movie M. Night Shyamalan's The Village?
I have.
All right, that was like one of his 4 good ones, I think.
Yeah.
And before, I don't know what happened to him, but that was like one of the Signs.
Signs is the top.
Or Signs, Sixth Sense was the original.
My bad. Unbreakable's the top.
Well, right, that was the 4, right?
Yeah.
So Signs, Unbreakable, Sixth Sense, and The Village.
Yeah.
By The Village, I think everyone was really used to his surprise endings. Formula. And so it's like it wasn't, everyone's looking for that. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, he kind of like was a victim of his own success in that regard. Yeah. But when I think about The Village, it still is a profound story that I would assign to students at University of Houston because they needed to kind of appreciate or have a mythology to kind of help them appreciate how it is that in North America anyway, pockets of Christianity retreated from the world and just kind of like pulled back and created their own subculture.
Okay.
And so you saw this over the course of the 20th century where this trauma of kind of like butting up against, the modern era, finding that, the Scopes Monkey trial is like, oh my gosh, we sound like idiots now because we can't talk to someone scientifically or whatever. And so they kind of retreat from the world to create their own subculture. And the Village kind of encapsulates that in some way. And,
right.
But that subculture winds up having its own education system, its own set of assumptions, its own way of looking at the world, a strong sense of in-group and out-group. And it created its own created its own body of work concerning the arts.
Okay.
And it's just bad most of the time. It really did. And so what happens is it created an entirely separate set of standards regarding to, Christian music and Christian movies and things like this. And you would say, after a while, you go, okay, I get it. You're trying to appeal to a specific audience. But that audience is so uncritical that now it's like, well, the thing that distinguishes, Christian music, Christian media of different types is that a thing for which there's no standards because people are just going to accept it anyway because it's some supposedly faith-based.
Right, I got you.
And so I'm thinking, in my view, that was the wrong view. That was the wrong way to go. People of faith ought to be interacting with the arts, not creating their own separate village of separate art.
I mean, we're all the same.
Exactly right. Right. So, Exactly. So that's my, kind of my launching spiel a little bit like that. But so tell us what you do for the City of Dothan.
I am the performing arts director for City of Dothan.
Okay.
So I manage the Opera House, Civic Center Park, downtown, a lot of downtown events, bring in shows, entertainment. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
So, and before was that position, were you doing that position before the Dothan Opera House was refurbished?
No, I have, I've been with the city since March of 23.
Okay.
Been director or acting director, April of 23, and then appointed to director October of 23.
Okay.
So 3.5 years before there, I was at a place down the road called the Crossing at Big Creek. Ran a lot of entertainment there, had a lot of big concerts post-COVID.
You got the huge amphitheater outside, right?
Because we put that to work post-COVID in 21 because Live Nation really couldn't do concerts. Down there we could do concerts, so we had some big ones, 7,000, 5,000, 4,000. So it really, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but COVID kind of helped my career. Before then, I worked for the Philadelphia Film Festival for a few years. I've lived in Atlanta, worked for some clubs. I've always kind of been around it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's called, that venue is called the Crossing
at Big Creek.
The Crossing at Big Creek.
Yeah.
I drove through there. They had, my wife's always wanted to try various different restaurants, different restaurants, and we heard that they served food there. Let's go try it. It's pretty basic. But it was okay. It was good.
It's good.
But it's adjacent to the casino.
Yeah, it's good. Those guys down there are trying a lot. I have an admiration for them because they really gave me they gave me here, see what you can do with this. And
it's actually a really cool spot. I mean, it's got like this set of cabins that are down there. It looks like people make it a vacation spot.
There's a lot of good vision behind it. I hate that they go through so many struggles that they do. Maybe one day it turns into a tourist destination with
cool.
gambling. I mean, everybody should make up their own mind what they want to do.
Right.
But there's some really good vision, and there's some guys down there in charge that really believe in it. And they've been with it for a while.
Okay.
So I want to see them, eventually, something great happen for them. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. So the Dothan Opera House is refurbished. Yeah. Is that running concurrent with your position being created, or did that position exist already?
The position existed already. Like I came in as an event manager.
Okay.
So the Opera House, I did 2 events before they renovated it. I did a beauty pageant, which I've never seen one before. I come from a touring world, and it's very, very different for me. And then we did Jimmy Vaughn, and then we shut it down for 1.5 years and renovated. But I did know the first time I walked into the Opera House, you can look around and tell it's a special venue, and it was kind of underutilized. And I firmly believe that's one of the best live music venues or comedy or any kind of event in the Southeast, especially now since they renovated it.
We've been there for a few events so far, and it's really neat inside. And so how do you determine whether or not you need the Opera House or the Civic Center for an event?
It's usually up to a promoter. Like the only things we buy and we program 100% is the stuff at the park. The rest of the stuff we have relationships with promoters, and they kind of know. There's a kind of you kind of know who's going to sell tickets, and then if there's an artist and he's 15,000 to 18,000 for a show, then that's probably an Opera House show, but you need it to sell out. If someone's over that, you want to bring it to the Civic Center. But all these artists and agents know how much they're worth. Okay. Some of the shows we have at the Civic Center, they're $150,000 to $200,000 just for the artist. And the agents, they know they're going to sell tickets when they come here. We're working on one today that I can't announce what it is, but he'll sell 3,000 tickets, so they want to bring it.
Well, in terms of guests here, we had Jordan Stanley came and we had a conversation. It's probably, everyone commented that sounded like the most fun I'd had in a long time.
Yeah, because Jordan's a fun person. We're going to dinner with her tonight for her. She wants to go to a going away dinner because she's about to go on the road.
She's a riot, and and she's going on tour, right?
Yes.
So getting her launch here in Dothan, and then gets picked up and discovered, and now she's got this whole calendar of events.
It's up to her now.
So that's fantastic.
It's up to her. Like, you want to go do it, Jordan? You got the talent. I've told her this for a year. Go do it. Go get it.
Well, and she even started an open mic night. I think on Foster Street, right?
She did, and I think somebody saw that she was going on tour because now they have an open mic night down the road. So somebody else saw what happened to her, and they're going to do their own thing now too. So it's great to see. You know, it's great to see people in Dothan trying to do stuff or just stepping out and doing stuff.
Right. So when you're booking artists, though, I mean, do you have to? Do you just book anyone who's curious, or do you have to make an assessment as to whether or not that would play well in this community?
It's usually the promoters usually know.
Okay.
But you also run into some new promoters, and you try to give them guidance, and sometimes they don't listen. That's a whole different world. But we just have, we just keep a calendar, and it's a lot like freight. Like it's as try to explain to somebody how a show happens. So a promoter will call you and say, what do you have on these dates? And they could be a week of dates, they could be 2 weeks of dates, and then they put holds in, what's called holds on those dates. And if they're the only one on that date, that's the first hold, and then it goes to a second hold if it's a second person or third person. So then what they do with those dates, they've called all these other venues, and they all have this, what's available on those dates.
All right.
Then it's like freight. Then they start trying to set the tour on routes, and it's usually about a 6-hour gap in between venues. So usually, that's how it happens. You just have to be available, and you have to negotiate. Like you have to know where your bottom is and where you're trying to go with the money.
Interesting.
Yeah. And you base that off then it comes down to me. You base that on how many tickets I think we'll get in this market.
So, I mean, in terms of when the promoters and artists that are coming to Dothan, I guess because it's a small town, Southeast Alabama, some might have assumptions about you're going to be just booking, say, country music stars all
like
the
that
time.
For years,
right? But that is that a safe assumption? I mean, is there going to be there's going to be other genres, other styles that are coming?
Rock music does good here. We've tried some soul and R&B, not quite there yet, but we'll try that again. There's all kind of stuff. I think. For me, one of the things I want to bring is Dothan's first touring Broadway production.
Okay, yeah.
I think we're going to be there next year.
We've had some interesting. What you've seen, I haven't been to quite a bit that I see advertised, but we've had some interesting ones that some performances that I thought that would have been cool to go to. They had one that was the candlelight concert.
These things are pretty. They're calming.
Yeah, for some reason I had one of those earlier this year, but I had to give those tickets to a parishioner. But those look wonderful.
Oh, they're calming. I mean, they're good shows.
Really?
Yeah, they're good shows.
So, but now Jordan was booked, and you have a lot more comedy acts coming.
We do. There's some more comedy acts coming. We have a big one coming in February. Again, some of this stuff I can't talk about in the first quarter, but the first quarter next year, it's massive. It almost. And I'll say this: like I've been humbled. I get humbled daily by this stuff. Came in, I used to look at the calendar and go, I don't understand what's going on here. Like, there's nothing coming. You've been getting 2 shows. Now we look at the calendar and we get a little bit of anxiety. Like, how are we going to spread the team out, make sure nobody's tired? Like, what are we going to do to pull this off? Because there's times where we're going to be running both venues, have 3,000 over here, another 600 over here. And it's, I got a good team around me. The city's let me, city has allowed me a platform to really build a good team. I inherited some good people, and then we've added some good people. We got a strong team that's they believe in what we're doing. Dothan's market, the Civic Center's been around 50 years. So the market's been here 50 years, but in a way it was kind of underutilized, and we're kind of defining the market right now. So there's some stuff we're doing, it's not going to work. So we're learning that it won't work, and then we just won't do it again. Or if it got halfway there, we'll tighten it up and try it one more time.
Okay. Is the Civic Center kind of reaching its lifespan, or?
I don't know. That's all. It's all subjective.
I wasn't sure because you don't know how long a structure someone wants to keep it. I don't know if its lifespan. You said it's been 50 years.
50 years. Now I do say, like in the late 70s, they definitely weren't thinking about guest experience.
No, right.
They were thinking about comfort and ADA and things like that. So yes, it has reached its lifespan on those types of things.
Okay.
And I do think, and I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen with that building, but I do think that, some thought has to be put into what Dothan is before we do anything. You know, we don't have mountains, we don't have lakes, we don't have beaches. So what we have here is experience and how we all treat one another.
Okay.
So the same thing needs to fold over into whatever kind of venue we go to.
Okay.
It needs to provide a superb guest and artist experience, and that'll make things want to come back and make people want to come to Dothan and come to a show, because it'd be different than going to a show in Pensacola, or different than going to a show in Birmingham.
That's right.
It's an experience all the way around.
Right, because if someone's going to something, say in Pensacola or another place, that oftentimes that venue is that concert, whatever, is part of a larger experience as well.
Mm-hmm.
The person is going to a concert or something in Pensacola, and they're also going to the beach.
Yep.
Or a person's doing this, they're experiencing that area. And I didn't think about that. It raises the question, how can Dothan be part of a kind of an ensemble experience for somebody?
Yeah, you're going to come to Dothan and you're going to get treated nice and have something different. And there's, hopefully by then, everything downtown, there's more restaurants and there's more independently owned things, and it's just a whole experience.
So since I've been here, I moved here at the beginning of 24. No, wait. 25. It's 26 now. Jeez. 26. So I moved here at the beginning of last year. And I don't think that whole, what's the name of the park that's right there?
Porter Park.
Porter Park. I don't think that had all been completed when I first came.
We opened that thing up August of last year. So
right.
Yeah.
And so, but since then, I've seen a lot of, concerts, outdoor concerts there, other things that occurred. Is that fall under your umbrella as well?
Yeah, that's us. So the park to me is my favorite venue right now, because what's great about it to me is not just the music we're bringing out there, because we're bringing some good acts out there, and people should pay attention, because some of these acts we're bringing, a year from now, you're going to be one of these people that said, oh, they came to Dothan and I was there. And you really weren't, because I could see the 500 people that are showing up. But it's the community that you're seeing get created there. People are coming, kids are playing, people from all demographics are coming out there, and they're sharing this time together, and they're making, they're having these shared spaces and experience.
Right.
And I think that's what's been missing, especially from our area. And then, too, you couple in what COVID did to us all and put us all kind of locked us up even more.
Right. We're
6 years after, and we're all starting to finally get out and reconnect with one another.
Yeah.
So what we do with the park is, we try to sell it's community. That's the byproduct of the park.
That is kind of the nostalgia hometown experience that many have lamented for almost 20 years.
Yep.
And COVID is our favorite horse to beat.
It was the excuse for
right.
3 years.
Oh gosh, and sometimes it's difficult to find the silver linings on that, because it really was quite a culture shift.
Yes.
In terms of the way in which people, I oftentimes say, things like COVID are very helpful for exposing the fragility of civilization.
Yes. Because
you didn't realize how quickly a lot of those assumptions you have about everyday life can just go away.
Yeah.
And even assumptions about neighbors, pointing each other fingers and so forth. And all that neighborliness went away quickly too.
Oh yeah. And it's weird too. In the entertainment world, we all know, like every one of us know, that March 14th, 2020 was the day everything shut down. Events, everything got canceled. That was the last day of events. And, because it felt like our lives, like, is this going to come back? Nobody knows what this is. What are we going to do now?
Right.
Yeah, it was a strange time when you think back on it, especially for us in the entertainment world. My event manager and I, that's when him and I became really kind of close, because he worked for a production company. We kind of knew each other, and we would talk to each other every day about what's going to happen. What are you doing for the future in case this don't come back?
Right.
And, yeah.
Well, I had a favorite venue. When I lived in Houston, Texas, I had a favorite venue there. It was called the Redneck Country Club.
Okay. I can't really see you at the Redneck Country Club.
Oh, no. Seriously, that's really nice to say. You need to take that back. I was, now it's funny because I lived in a lot of large towns, but I was born and raised in a very small town way up in Northern California near the mountains.
Okay.
And so that's why Dothan feels like coming home, because that's the last time I lived in a small town. After that, it was, Seattle, Dallas, Houston, Orlando. It was like these huge cities. But now I come here and go, that's how it feels like to go home in a sense.
Right.
But when I lived in Houston, though, one of my favorite venues was called the Redneck Country Club. It was owned by a local it was a local talk show host that he was still is on the radio there, but he had all sorts of different businesses that he'd gotten into, and one of which was he wanted to create this venue, a concert venue, but it was also like a kind of like a mature and well-behaved honky-tonk in a sense, where, older folks could go and just kind of enjoy themselves. And it's not necessarily your full Patrick Swayze Roadhouse, experience.
Right.
But he created this venue, and I actually went to a lot of concerts there. Took my daughter to a Kiss tribute band.
Okay.
There, it was funny because she saw this and kind of went, "Dad, this was your childhood. How did you survive this?" And like, because I was that parent's like, head banging while the child's going, "This is too loud." But anyway, Redneck Country Club doesn't exist anymore because COVID shut down all of their concerts, and then the owner had to pay back all the deposits for all those bands that were now not coming in. Broke them. I mean, broke the business. He's still on the radio, but nevertheless, it went away. Well, and that's something for which I was just so disappointed, because that's where my wife and I actually had our wedding reception. This high Anglo-Catholic mass we have for our wedding, and then go right over to the Redneck Country Club. So, which is just because they, in the lobby right outside, in their porch, they had the replica of the General Lee and the Smoking the Bandit Trans Am. So that's where you want to have your wedding pictures, of course.
It's like you're in Tennessee, but you're in California. Or Texas. That's just,
right. Well, since then, I've discovered that one of my favorite places in town is Cowboys.
Okay.
So I'll go there in my clericals like this with my pipe and sit out there in Cowboys and just kind of listening to music and watching the line dancing.
Will people come and talk?
Of course. Yeah. No, it's fantastic. I mean,
great.
It's like, so my wife's like, you're going to Cowboys tonight? It's like, I'll be back in a little bit. She's like, that's fine. And so I just go out there, like, I have my pipe there. I'm so glad they could still let you smoke inside. And so I'll go there with my pipe, and people will start conversations like, "What in the world?" I'm like, "How you doing?" And so it's just great.
You should get Billy from Cowboys in here to talk to you.
Billy?
He's the guy that books all the music out there. Yeah,
that'd be fantastic.
He's an interesting guy.
They're great. Well, it's funny because my parishioners were like, "Father, you're going to Cowboys?" I said, "Well, it sounds like an awesome place." And they all weren't quite sure what my strategy was, because they said, in their mind, they had it in their head that there's, like I said, this Patrick Swayze Roadhouse experience. It's not what I saw at all. When I got there, it was like, from every age bracket, from the older couple that is just there to have their night out and they're dancing together, to the young kids that are, just old enough to possibly be there. But it was everyone in between. But I just saw it extremely well behaved and, just a pleasant arena.
It's a Dothan institution. That place has been open over 50 years.
Really?
Like
Well, it's fantastic.
It's the old wrestlers. Like I had Ric Flair. That was the first show I brought to Dothan, was Ric Flair, just a talking with Ric Flair. You hear him talking, meet and greet. And all he would talk about is Cowboys in the 70s. Like he still remember where it was. Yes, it's got to be one of the longest. I mean, it's local businesses.
Yeah.
Still surviving.
Oh, I like it. I really do. And I like all the different types of events that you can have there. I remember at the Redneck Country Club back in Houston, my wife's from the Philippines. And so when she comes here and I say, I'm going to introduce you to as much redneck as I possibly can. And so for Cinco de Mayo, we went to the Redneck Country Club for Mexican Lucha Libre, Mexican mask wrestling.
I'd go to that.
And she's like, what am I watching?
I would go to that. That's
high energy. It was fantastic. Yes. I was absolutely in my zone. So I had been jonesing for that kind of entertainment for quite some time. And then Ozark, at their gathering or their civic center, had Lucha Libre midget mask wrestling.
Did you go to that?
Absolutely. I was all over that business. It was fantastic. And of course, and the thing is, of course, and my wife says, she's like, I'll go with you, but the trade-off is we can't be in exactly the front row. I don't want to be like right, right in the front row, right next to we can be ringside, but not in the front row.
Right.
I'm like, okay, that's a fair compromise. Well, it turns out that she dodged a bullet on that one because frequently they were throwing each other out of the ring, landing in the lap of people that were in the front row.
I mean, that's a good experience.
I know. I felt like I missed out on that, but I know that would have been a rough ride home if one of the wrestlers had landed in her lap.
I charged double for those Friday six. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So, but people at the church were like, "What in the world, Father?" I said, "No, I'm shoring up my redneck bona fides, wherever I can." Mm-hmm. So, because I spent too much time living in big cities, and so I'm behind a little bit.
No, go have fun. It's here. Go embrace the culture.
Oh yeah. Well, the other thing I love here is that rodeos. Rodeos are some of my favorite culture, my favorite experiences altogether. The Ozark Rodeo, we enjoy that very much. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Landmark Park and the Peanut Festival. Oh, yeah. As well. Those are great.
So did you ever go to the Houston Rodeo? Did you go to that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So you've been to like the rodeo.
Oh, I know. Yeah. But no, I know. I knew that one was huge, but where I grew up going to the Shasta County Shasta County Rodeo at my hometown in Redding, California. Yeah. And that's more closer to our size here. Yeah. But
I have, so when I'm not with the city, a lot of stuff I learned down there on concerts, I have a close friend. He owns a promotion called Bulls, Bands, and Barrels.
Okay.
So it's a big deal, but he took all the good parts of the rodeo, the fast pace, high energy. So you got bull riding, bullfighting, barrel racing, this high energy all the way through.
Okay.
Pyrotechnic. I mean, it's a big deal. And then he couples it with a concert at the end. So pretty much every country artist this big has come through there. He's got his finger on the pulse with these artists.
Right.
Now they're in, they're some pretty massive venues now. They've been out to Fort Worth for the finals a couple times. They do about 23 shows a year. So not this weekend, but next I'll be with them in Mississippi just because I need to go take a trip with all the people that all the people I'm kind of close to. But it's a different kind of, especially behind the scenes, it's a different kind of animal.
In Florida, we would go to the Silver Spurs Rodeo all the time. I mean, and this gets a little nerdy for me, but one of the reasons why I have such an affection for that, because I don't want to get too weird about this, but there's actually a theology to watching what I call cooperation with nature. Mm-hmm. This creation cooperation that you see between rider and horse this way, those animals, they rightly call them equestrian athletes there. Yeah. Like we're watching out for our equestrian athletes because that rider is not commanding that horse. They're cooperating with them. Yeah. There are certain events where that's more obvious than others, especially like team roping or calf roping, where that horse has to keep it really tight on the calf so he can tie the legs. And so you see the way they're cooperating with this animal. And so there's a sense in which that peers back into ancient literature, peers back into the most ancient texts of the Bible, into Genesis, where you're like, this is where you have creation kind of like moving, not kind of trying to command creation, but dominion, what dominion means, whatever that means. But in that moment, dominion means a command cooperation to accomplish the things you need to do. And you really see that. We don't really have any sort of events in our society that celebrates that like rodeos.
Okay. I'm going to look at it different now. I think you just, when I go with them, I'm going to see it a little bit differently now.
It's a cooperation with creation. Yeah. It's something, it's like almost like Tolkien-esque in a sense.
Okay.
That's really earthy. And where you're not in clashing competition with creation, you're in cooperating with it.
Right.
And so that's one of the reasons why I really like it.
Makes sense.
I know, especially the smaller, the better. Okay. I mean, Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo is great.
That's massive.
I loved it. That's fun. Right. But the smaller ones are really where you're right up close to everything. Yeah. You can see everything that has to take place. And we really liked it. We went to the thing about the one at Landmark Park is that all those bleachers had been kind of put up really quickly. And so we sat there kind of the entire time kind of tense going, is this thing going to hold us all up?
No, I get a good seat. Like I've never been to this is the only kind of rodeo I've ever been to. So I'm used to like the high end, but I get right on the gate. Like I can watch, but when the bull gets too close, like I do know to, let's move on out for a second.
I went to a family reunion a couple of years back, and it was out in Tucson, Arizona, and it was at a working ranch, but it was a resort, so everyone could sit by the pool, or they can go mountain biking, they could go spa day, whatever. Mm-hmm. I signed up for every horseback riding lesson that I could. And just because I'd never enjoyed that, I'd never been able to do that on my own. And I absolutely loved it. And what I found really quickly is that, because I've also rode a motorcycle for many years too, and I miss my bike. I want to get another bike sometime soon. But I just learned that a horse is not a motorcycle.
I could have told you that.
Well, no, because motorcycle doesn't have a mood.
Right. It's not living.
No. Yeah.
I
mean, well, it doesn't get an attitude. A motorcycle doesn't get an attitude.
Right.
It doesn't get kind of like decide whether it likes you or not.
Right.
I mean, and this animal's so much larger than you. Mm-hmm. You have to decide. It has to decide it's going to cooperate with you. Otherwise, you really are not able to make it do what it doesn't want to do. And in fact, it could do something you don't want it to do. Run off someplace.
It's allowing you to ride it.
Exactly right. Yeah. And so it becomes almost. It becomes a partner, really. And so from those few lessons, I developed a whole different appreciation.
That's awesome. That's
good. And so that's why we have had parishioners and people exposed to people that will raise horses or be on ranches and farms, and I just admire them so much. My wife says that she's like, you're a little snobby in terms of your redneckness. I'm like, how does that work? Tell me. She's like, because you've now gone to the point where the closer to the earth someone is, the more you actually put them up more further on this pedestal.
Right.
And I'm like, well, because we get that term, horse sense.
Horse sense.
They have a little appreciation for how creation goes, because so much of life has to do with things that don't change for you, regardless of how you like them to.
You can't will it.
I know, exactly right. Yeah. So what have you got? What has been this, since you've taken on this role, what have been some of your biggest triumphs? You're like, oh my gosh, we got this person in. It was a logistical nightmare, but we pulled it off.
I think, for me, it changed when I first got there. I think it changes daily. When I first arrived, I wanted to bring some big shows and just get it started. Mm-hmm. And then, my first thing there was Kevin Hart. There was 2 shows with Kevin Hart. That was the first thing I brought to Dothan. And it's kind of horrifying because and I did that through my promoter friend with Live Nation. Like, he really set me up for success, or could have been failure. It could have been the only thing I ever got had it gone wrong. Cause it's a team there that wasn't used to, it still had paper tickets. They had no clear bag policy. They weren't winding people. And I had 4 weeks to put all this in place. Like, it was really just shift gears, and we had to shift gears fast. And I think it was a blessing, from God, because we did have to go. There was no baby stepping. Like, we had to change all this fast.
Yeah.
If we're going to do this, we got to get through all this fast. And then that opened up the door for, there's all kind of stuff. But as, I got to year 2, I realized my scope is not just bringing these big shows, but it's also working with the local arts groups to make sure that I can provide what I can to help them succeed.
Yeah.
And now it is shifted where we're doing all these things, but we're also now we're in a grant program now, or not a grant program. We're in a program now with one of other 20 cities in the country where they're going to come in, they're going to do a study and try to teach us how to set up music as an ecosystem in Dothan.
Really?
So we're in that, and then I got us in a documentary film thing called South Arts Tour of Independent Filmmakers. So that there's going to be 6 documentary films starting in September. This will be September, October, November, March, April, May. And these guys will come in with their film, and the films will be $5, and you come watch it, and they do a Q&A afterwards. So we're starting to set ourselves up, or trying to set ourselves up. Like
a Southeast, like a Wiregrass Sundance film festival?
Like that. Like, some of these movies, 2 of them got picked up by HBO. So, like, they are some really good documentaries.
Oh, nice.
So we're doing that. We're trying to, use the park to create a music scene, and I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that we got going on right now. I got my hands in that. I just want to see us. I'm trying to do things that, you may not see the benefit for 10 years, which is cool. Or you may not see the benefit like during my time as the leader down there, but we're setting up some strong foundations that's going to be really hard to roll back.
There's an analogy that I use that I say you have to plant trees.
Trees. Yep.
And I qualify that by saying at my house, I've planted a bunch of trees about this tall.
Mhm.
And my wife's like, that's not going to provide shade for at least 10 years. I'm like, I know. That's what you're investing in the future for.
Yeah. You ever think about that? Like when you drive past a pecan orchard, like how far in advance did this family have to plant this pecan orchard?
Right.
Like they never saw it in their lifetime.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you do. You have to plant trees metaphorically of planting something now that you may be a benefit to your children or grandchildren.
Yep.
That's probably one of the chief human characteristics, that humans are able to see the future by doing something now that is beyond the immediate vision.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I can see how the benefit of this beyond the horizon, but it's certainly not immediate.
Yeah. And I like to, I like to do that with the people around me too. If I see, I'm always thinking about succession.
Yeah.
What that looks like, even though I'm just 50, like I'm not going anywhere, but I like to look, 10 years down and see who else you can bring up and build and put into. Same way with Jordan. Like Jordan's a friend of ours, but there's probably 7 or 8 in Dothan who have talent or they had an idea and they came up, and I mean, we'll partner with them if it's a fleshed out idea and this is just really what you need is some, a space to try to springboard. We don't mind partnering with that. It's
Right.
only backfired on me one time, so I mean, we'll keep doing. So I was having to talk with my wife the other night about, when things do backfire like that, you can't ever get jaded where you don't want to give other people an opportunity. Like that's just a bad spot to be in. And so that's the goal right now. So there's folks, there's talented people in Dothan that we want to, but it's going to take everybody to get us on the map. So you have to help these people out.
So did Kevin Hart draw a good crowd?
2 sold out shows.
Okay.
We had to flip it in an hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious about that because it's really interesting. I saw Jordan's show and she's very specific about having a clean set.
That's hard.
Yeah, Kevin Hart is Kevin Hart.
Yeah, it's not clean.
And it's really interesting. I understand why some people are just not attracted to some humor because how the thing is communicated is really going to be sensitive to them. I get that, but I think it also the job of the comedian is to produce a level of discomfort.
He's saying the things that you can't. That you
exactly right. They're supposed to find the taboo. They're supposed to push it and find that. Every now and then I find myself scrolling. If I'm guilty of killing time and the feed comes up on my phone, Kill Tony.
I watch a lot of Kill Tony.
So,
are you current with Kill Tony?
Not just yet. No,
like Pat O'Neill.
Pat O'Neill.
He's a Kill Tony regular.
Okay,
should look like he's on another level. Oh, the clown, Sir Edward Pickles. I think he's on a different level. Like
right.
I mean, Kill Tony. When I'm scrolling, that's what I end up on too.
And the thing is, we went through kind of a weird 5 years, or weird 5 or 10 years, where it seemed like comedy was a little endangered, as the problems facing our society had little to do with the color of skin and more with the thickness of it.
Yep. Cancel culture.
Right, exactly right.
Yeah.
And the offense was so easy. And you wondered whether comedy was going to be in this endangered thing.
Right.
And so now you're seeing some resurgence, kind of a resurgence of that. But I do admire Jordan for, keeping a clean set. She had a couple of people that were before her that were kind of pushing that edge.
You got to push the edge.
Hey, right, exactly. Find out where it is.
Yeah.
And so, but still, that's very difficult because
it's hard.
Because you are placing conscious restrictions on where you need to go,
right?
And all the while, kind of finding the uncomfortable thing that everyone's going to either laugh loudly about or uncomfortably about.
It's especially for a new comedian. Like she's gone to a couple open mics, and I think she was kind of shocked that when she came back and she told me that. I was trying to explain to her, a lot of new comedians when they're coming up, they haven't learned stuff. And this is just, I don't know anything about comedy. I've just seen a lot of it.
Right.
People just cuss for no other reason. There's no context in your, there's no reason for you to say those words, to talk about that subject. You just think it adds to the joke, and it really don't. You just haven't honed in your craft yet.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, I know. I after a while, I spend so much time with firefighters, law enforcement, and so forth, and a lot of Marines, that I just, after a while, your mind filters out quite a bit.
Yeah.
and you might even pick up on some of that. I served at a church in Orlando, and the priest said, "Father, and you spend a lot of time with at fire stations." I said, "Yes, I do." And he goes, "Yeah, we know." I'm like, "Oh, sorry,
Yep.
oops." But but having that type of talent, though, and being able to be able to appeal to an audience who has like for Jordan's audience, they can go to that performance and be confident they're not going to have to explain something uncomfortably to their child later on,
Right.
when they're going home. There's a very specific market for that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad. So long as I remember in the 90s, there was no, it was the 90s. It was the 80s and 90s, where there was a group of like Christian comedians. They were all trying to kind of like make a splash, and they were all plagiarizing Bill Cosby, because that was the only real,
It's the only clear,
there was only clean comic at the time.
Yep.
And so you're like, so it was actually, they struggled with originality by still trying to appeal to a very small niche.
That's a hard space to work in.
It really is.
Yep.
And so that's why I know, for me, when I heard about open mic, and I thought, oh, that sounds fun. And my wife said, "Don't you even dare.
Did you try it?
Don't you dare."
Did you get up?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
But she's like, she said, "I'm very frightened because once you get the first laugh, then that's the dopamine hit, and you'll want to kind of keep going. Next thing you know, you've told a joke like, oh shoot, I wish I could have that back. I didn't have permission to tell that story.
It's a joke where you're laughing. Exactly. That's what you don't want. Yeah, that's what you don't want. Yeah.
Oh, I know. So I always have to make sure that if I'm telling a story that really plays well, either it's self-deprecating, so it doesn't put down anyone who I currently know, or if it's an embarrassing story about someone who I'm not in contact with anymore.
Right. No, it makes sense. Always go back to yourself.
All right. Oh yeah. That's an easy target.
Yeah. Easy target. Yeah.
Because God will never allow me to take myself too seriously.
Right.
It seems like there's always this moment where I'm just about the point where I do take myself pretty seriously, and he swoops in and goes, "Oh, that will not do at all. You're going to need to fall on your face in some particular fashion just to kind of keep things at equilibrium." Yeah. So, but now, any big projects coming up that you're excited about?
I mean, we got a lot
that you can't talk about.
Yeah, I just can't talk about a lot of it right now. We have shows on sale now at DothanCivicCenter.com or org and DothanOperaHouse.com. We are working on some things that's going to surprise some people that we have, but also, in September 3, 10, 17, 24. So we're part of the Levitt AMP concert series, where we got in a grant. Art in Public Places is the curator of the AMP, of the grant. So there's going to be free concerts at the park, food truck every Thursday night in September. Food trucks start serving at 5:30. And first one is a indie rock soul show. The next one is a R&B jazz show. Then we got 2 alt country shows. So it's going to be it's a good mix. So, we want people to come out and experience community. Even if you don't like these bands or you don't like the style of music, come out and see what the park is, and come out and make some new friends, and just hang out with your Dothan neighbors. We came up for Mark
Chestnut at the Dothan Opera House.
Now, that was a pretty show. That's a good show for the Opera House. That was
fantastic. I really
enjoyed that. It's a good show for the Opera House.
Yeah. So the parades that go through Dothan, do you have a hand in any of those?
Used to have a hand in Mardi Gras a little bit.
Okay.
But with my job at the city, that line kept getting blurred. So instead of me being frustrated it's easier for me just to go work on it from the city side, as opposed to, if I'm out asking for money for Mardi Gras, then people, for sponsorships, then people blur that with the City of Dothan.
Right.
They start calling up to the City of Dothan wanting to register a float, and you have to tell them that's not really me. But I used to do sponsorships, vendors, some entertainment, some other things. There's a lot of guys in Mardi Gras, and I will say that there was 3 to 4 really behind the scenes that kind of just catapulted this thing up. Okay. Some of them are still there, and now they have a strong foundation where they should just keep running.
All right. Yeah. What types of acts would you like to see more of in this area? I mean, I know you got the huge. There is the when you're out at the crossings at.
Crossing at Big Creek.
Crossing at Big Creek, the big amphitheater there. That's not what we have here with the Dothan Opera House and Civic Center. But are there are there other acts that you would like to see? Well, those promoters haven't contacted us yet, but we'd like to see XYZ because we think there's a market for it here.
I mean, I think we're kind of getting there now. I think we've done pretty much everything. We've done, we've done rock, we've done country, we've done some ballet, like we've done comedy. I think now that the numbers are kind of there, we're there. So I don't know how much more we'll get. I'd like to see some bigger shows, some outdoor shows. The Peanut Festival has an amphitheater out there too that holds about 7,000.
I can see someone using Rip Hughes Stadium for that.
The AstroTurf. So you got to buy stuff called Duradeck to go.
Oh,
AstroTurf
okay.
And that Duradeck is not only expensive, it is labor intensive to put in. It weighs about 60 pounds a sheet.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, but that's what they use on golf courses. Like
I see. Okay.
it smooth, you pick it up. And the AstroTurf, you still have to replace the grass if it was real grass.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I was just wondering about that.
I mean, you could do a concert in the field. Like you could.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just got to have the money and I'd also like to see some things happen at the farm center. Like some things need to
After
happen
that's been refurbished.
Yeah. Been refurbished. Somebody needs to just go over there and do a concert, show it can be done.
Yeah.
I mean, don't be mad at me if you don't make your money back, but just, just go try it to show it can be done.
Yeah. So, I mean, for us, my hope is that to see more, to see, those arts really kind of thrive and grow. The society, when comedy was being kind of under attack for a time, a lot of us lamented that they were somewhat of the canary in the coal mine, that artists don't have the ability to really express the emotions and angst and aspirations and myths of the society. And so where's that going? Now I'm encouraged to see more of these artists come back, and especially with comedy and other type of music genres. Yep. And so that's why I'd like to, but I also want to see people engage that and interact with it and see how they can, mine it for all of its worth.
Right.
Especially I'm excited about what you're saying about that film festival.
Yeah, that's great. So I love film. I'm thinking back now about, I could think about what the effects 9/11 had ramifications on the global horror industry. Like I used to work for a film festival program on horror movies. So foreign horror films, there's a gap there from about 2003 to probably about 2010 where they really got psychological and they got violent, and not just violent for the sake of violence. Like it really, something happened and you could tell it was the way the world shifted. So I don't know what's going to,
kind of nihilistic.
Very.
Yeah.
Yes.
Once upon a time, slasher films used to be morality tales.
Yep.
That's why. That's why you get the final girl.
Yeah. Don't go to a park and hook up.
Exactly. Right. Because that's where you get. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, these got really, especially especially the French movies got really.
Yeah.
Really out there.
They're rough. They're rough.
I can remember one coming out. I mean, it still sticks in my mind. It's called Martyrs. So the whole point was pushing people as close as death so they'll see God and then talk about that experience right before they die. And it's a really rough movie to watch, but it came out and it's critically acclaimed, but it is a rough watch.
There are horror films that were profound for me that stick with you and almost get incorporated into the way in which you, again, have a conversation with about faith. I gotta be careful because if I say a film here, people are like, "Is Father Aaron recommending the following movie?" Like, no, I'm not.
Don't do that.
I'm not recommending anything. I just say that I saw a thing and this is what I got out of it. But Lawrence Fishburne, Event Horizon.
That's a good movie. It's a great movie. It's almost a perfect movie.
And I almost say there's a redemption arc there. I mean, there's almost like you could extract from that a Christian message in a sense. This idea of the ship that goes to hell comes back and brings it back with him, and then of course he winds up he's the one who has to sacrifice himself and go to hell on everybody else's behalf. But you go through a lot to get there.
Go through a lot.
Exactly right.
A lot of people don't watch that movie twice.
Oh no, that's just not.
I was thinking a minute ago when you were talking about Christian movies. First time I can remember ever being scared at a movie was at Revival at a little Baptist church when I was probably 6. And these movies were called A Thief in the Night. They're all about...
Oh my gosh. Napoleon Dynamite is there playing the drums. Yeah, that's it. I wish we'd all been
I can remember
ready.
I saw them on eBay when I was like 25 and I bought them in this box set.
Oh, I got it.
And played it. And I could remember the the guillotine, the balloon going up, like, and I realized these movies scarred me. Like that's the
It
first
does.
time I ever
Oh
got
my
scared.
gosh. No, my sister and I have gone through this, talked about this a lot too, because I don't know how things are now. In our tradition, that's not our eschatology.
Right.
There's a different way of viewing those texts from the Bible that have a more of a triumphant view of how the church will have its influence and basically fulfill Christ's commission.
Right.
Right. So
I
that's
already like that better.
well, right. But there is that branch of Christianity that viewed very much that apocalyptic, that kind of like that, late 20th century apocalyptic view of there's, everybody's possibly yanked out. There's an Antichrist, there's an Armageddon, all these sort of things. And as a result, a lot of young church kids were traumatized with notions and movies that it could happen tomorrow. There's are you taking the mark of the beast? You might be the victim of the Antichrist.
Sometimes I'll wake up on Saturday morning and I'll go to the gym and it'll be like 5:30. I won't see a car on the way there.
You were left behind.
Gym, and I'm thinking in my head sometimes like, okay, I wasn't as good as I thought I was.
You were left behind.
I was left.
I know. Well, no, that's the thing. No, seriously, that was the thing where it's like that wound up, unfortunately for many, that really was incorporated into kind of like the religious message was just this intense message of fear. And my experience has been that a lot of people reacted to that they didn't react to that to take, my situation is a little bit unique because I reacted to that by taking a deep dive into theology, church history, and kind of go, wait a second, is that a teaching that's always been around?
Right.
But that's not the reaction of most. The reaction of many is they reacted to that sense that fearful type of like hit you with that, kind of like a apocalyptic, traumatic idea by just abandoning the church altogether. Right. And they left for their faith behind. And it didn't help the fact that these movies came out in a cyclical fashion, predicting the return of Jesus at least once a decade since the 60s. Right. And so
some people call for it too, and I just don't understand like what.
Yeah,
so you're technically saying you want the world to end, which is crazy to me.
Well, anthropologists call that ethnocentric.
Okay.
Where an ethnocentricity is your culture literally is the center of the universe. God is about to glass the people in Sri Lanka because your election didn't go right.
Right.
Right?
Makes perfect sense.
Your party lost the White House, so those people in Burundi, they're screwed. Yeah. Because this is going to be a global conflagration, all because your guy didn't win.
You're having a bad day, so we're going to just everybody else can just be wiped out.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I know. Well, and that's why I say I try to be charitable where I can, but in many cases, that eschatology that was shown through those traumatic youth group movies is also tied to geopolitical performance in North America. You can track apocalyptic preaching actually in North America to whether a Republican or Democrat was in the White House.
Okay.
So in the 70s, this is Jimmy Carter, and then Hal Lindsey's late great Planet Earth book comes out, and so apocalypticism really starts to kind of take hold in the early 70s, and then it takes kind of like takes a back seat during the Reagan years because those churches were all acting very triumphant. Oh my goodness, look, we're doing well. And then during the Clinton 90s, apocalyptic preaching all was on their ascendancy again. And you see this in publishing, and it was on the end caps of all the bookstores.
Oh yeah.
And then during the Bush administration, it kind of ebbed a little bit. And then during the Obama years, it flowed out again. More apocalypticism, more a type of traumatic films. I think Nick Cage did his version of Left Behind during that period too. So. And you're just like, so that's where it gets really transparent. We're like, if this is a thing that's always true, why is it so dependent upon our election cycles?
Right.
And so I don't want to I wasn't intending.
You and I need to talk one day off you and I can have.
I wasn't intending to get into that here, but when we're talking about movies and arts, that's a very powerful tool if you're really trying to like screw up a generation.
It is. It is.
So no, that's why I do sometimes. People say, "Do you watch many Christian movies?" And I say, "Well, no, I'm already a Christian watching movies." Because yes, art is subjectively apprehended in a sense, but a Christian no one's a blank slate.
Right.
So you are subjectively apprehending or receiving the arts, but your subjectivity is also subject to conditioning too. And so I always say that a Christian actually has a subjectivity that's constituted around a beloved reality, that all good stories point at one story.
Right.
I actually gave a lecture in Houston as part of my role with the University of Houston, gave a lecture at a local community event on the religious films or the gospel in film. And I only used examples of Academy Award winning films for the last 50 years. And so because it was demonstrated that how all these critically acclaimed Oscar-winning films are all pointing at aspects of the divine story, and how you just can't help it.
You can't.
If you're telling a good story, you can't help but tell aspects of the story.
Right.
And so people say, "Well, I need a good film that kind of communicates the Book of Proverbs." I'm like, Fargo.
Mm-hmm. See a movie.
Right. And like, huh? Whoa, hold on. Sorry, I know you got to go. But I mean, we could just, I suspect we could go on for like this for a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much for coming and talking.
Everything is that story. Star Wars is that story. Everything is that story.
Do not get me started on that. I am an ordained Jedi.